listening to The Nasty Table, the premier source for tabletop role-playing actual play. Now come on in, relax, and pull up a seat to The Nasty Table. Last session on The Nasty Table.
A bundle of easily recognizable explosives. Bodies, over 30 bodies, all children. Incessant. You're like flies on shit. You're dealing with things that are outside of your understanding.
You motherfuckers are opening up Pandora's box.
If I put a bullet in your head, would you die? Get him, partner.
Somebody needs to make it out of here.
So long, Killy.
Caleb sinks down to the floor. Forgive me. Marsha's on the ground being mauled by Sarge.
And I shoot her in the head.
A helicopter, faint in the distance.
You wait 3 minutes, alright? 3 minutes.
Detective Hoy!
This is the epilogue.
Yeah, there's 37 of them.
37
I was really
questions.
busy at work today.
Oh my god.
I'll tell you.
I went through everything.
I have some debrief stuff on 2 pages. Just loose notes that I want to bring up to talk about, but mostly, for the most part, I will be fielding questions. But there's a lot more important things going on. And that's the motherfucking epilogue. So we're going to go through the epilogue, and then we're going to wrap, and then we're going to take a moment to debrief, talk about the campaign, because I honestly do want honest feedback. I want to be honest with you guys, pull back the curtain as much as I feel comfortable about telling you some stuff that's happened. This epilogue is going to be, I think, a little more extensive than you guys think about. You guys aren't going to have any decisions to make or anything like that, aside from, obviously, Ray. But, you know, it's basically what happens from this point on. So, for old time's sake, and for the last time, can I please have a recap of the last session?
Daddy.
And I want to say this. I want to say this again, just to kind of reiterate it. I know we said it when the microphone stopped recording, but I made a series of rolls to see if Dan Winters would notice after you set the timer, and he didn't. How different would this have played out if he did?
Probably I'll be dead.
No. Motherfucker would have had to run. Run quick.
I don't know. I don't know what he would have done.
Well, yeah.
I have a guess.
Maybe disconnect
We don't know
the
what
watch.
he could have
Kill you.
done. We didn't see his potential, I feel like, right?
I feel like if
No.
he set the shit up, or his boy set the shit up, why would he not know how to take it down? And
That's
actually
true. Yeah.
Personal.
So was that whole thing, the whole plan was hinging on a critical fail?
Yeah. That plan there. That plan that you guys had would have failed if I did not critically fail that. Yeah, yes. Yeah, and it was 50. It was up to 50 for alertness. So you guys had a 1 in 20 chance of success? Yeah.
Now raise a laugh.
5%. That's all I ask for.
Seriously. Fuck, I didn't even think about that. Ridiculous. Ridiculously lucky.
Wait, so, okay, we're done the campaign now. So, he regular fails or passes, doesn't crit fail. What is his reaction? Like, how is he playing? How are you playing him?
What I would probably do is have him disarm it.
And he could do that in 1 turn?
No, it would take him 2, because the mechanism was a lot more complicated than I think it seemed. So it would take him 2 turns to disarm it, and then he would come out to chase you down, and then it would probably be a Mexican standoff between you, him, and Marsha outside. And based off of his statistics, he is faster than you, so he probably would have caught up to you somewhere in the woods and fought you to the death there.
Is he faster than Ray on the Appaloosa?
I would have him do ride. I would have him make ride checks. Before we get into the epilogue,
for us,
I want to say this very plainly, and I don't want anyone to be mad at me. I am going to reveal a lot I'll answer probably 75% of your questions. There are two things, and I said this already to you guys. I'm not going to tell you anything that I'm reusing in future campaigns, and I'm not going to tell you anything that I like having you guys have into interpretation. Anything else that you guys want to throw into this recap before we go into the epilogue? So, Ray Hoyt, the sole survivor of the LFVCU, face to face with the LFPD and a collection of other officers. They appear to be canvassing the area, knocking on doors. Rather quickly, you're whisked to the side while an EMT tends to your wounds. The next few minutes are a blur as you're trying to take inventory of the situation, yourself, and your fallen squad. Laura is tended to, and eventually Lieutenant Longo approaches you. In the middle of you having the gunshot on your ass cheek packed up, he approaches you and says, "What happened? Where's the rest of you?"
I'm the only one, sir. Everyone else is dead. Everyone. I don't... How'd you know to come here?
We had your photos developed. And he just looks at you. Can you tell me exactly what happened? So, I'm not going to excruciate over every single detail, but I do want to know.
Well, I want to... When do you want me to start?
From
I mean, you didn't even hear about our trip up to Minneapolis, man.
From the beginning, Ray. From the locker.
Alright.
So what do you tell him? What do you leave out? And what, if anything, do you fabricate?
I'm trying to be reluctant. I pretty much tell him everything. I'm gonna leave out the specifics of, well, at least personally, my visions, so in that case, anything I would have heard about any of their hallucination type visions, I'm gonna keep that to a normal person's digestible amount.
Do you also explain about Caleb's sleepwalking?
I do the same kind of thing with that. I really dumb that down to the level of I'm gonna have to talk to him about this for 5 hours for him to truly grasp what happened.
Right.
So I just put it in a sentence that's kind of
Easy
oddly
to digest.
interpretive. That's okay, just like what happened with the storage locker. It's we kind of have to in very few words be this is.
And how do you phrase all the stuff that happened with Mike McAllister and Doug?
I try to make it less soft that it's weird. I'm the stuff that went on with Minneapolis police, Dan Winters, Doug, who was the other guy? His other son. Oh my God.
Roger
Yeah,
Ackroyd.
Roger Ackroyd.
Jesus. Yeah. Roger, Doug, down there, down in the depths of the cabin, at the cabin, was what?
Just remember, you still have half a person in your house.
Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah, I know.
So great.
That stuff was straight up to him. I'm that was otherworldly, ungodly, magical, hellish. I kind of go mad almost communicating that to him.
Mm-hmm.
I was it was unbelievable what happened down there.
And so, how do you explain getting from Minneapolis into your trailer with half of Greg Atkins? Do you basically just say that plainly? In this lens of otherworldly, unnatural...
Yeah, I tell him RJ transported us to my trailer the same way that we presumed he was transporting around so fast and efficiently. we don't really know it. Like we just appeared there, right? Like we don't even know exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have the bird's eye camera what was happening, so
Yeah.
like we can only assume he did the same thing that he's been doing this whole time.
So, for all intents and purposes, you spend a solid 30 minutes while you're receiving treatment, and Longo is listening with intention. He's very, very tuned in. He believes you on everything that you say, and he gets kind of choked up as you're going through it. I need you to roll sanity for me as you are recounting the last week or so. Oh yeah, no, get your fucking dice out. This is probably the last dice roll of the game.
All I could think of when Ray was like, "It's only me, everyone's dead," is Ray won the fucking Royal Rumble.
Damn. Who you facing at WrestleMania?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
God damn. Who did I take down at WrestleMania? That's a critical fail.
You're gonna lose the maximum of 10 points of sanity.
Here we go. I hit a breaking point.
Oh my god.
Going through the motions and thinking of all that you've lost through this, your sergeant, your partner, Caleb, Sarge, days of mental drain, death, anguish, pain, all for this moment of you sitting here. And yes, you achieved what you set out to do, but the question that rockets around your head is, was it worth it? And it might have been, but you're not sure. Longo looks at you and he says, well, the way I see it, given the circumstances and considering the work you've all done for us, for everyone over the last few days, I'm gonna go check in on the girl, and if I come back to find you missing, well, I'm sure we'll find the bodies of the entire LFVCU down in that hole, and maybe yours might be unidentifiable.
No. I want the girl.
You want her?
What are you gonna do with her?
And he looks like he's thinking for a moment or two. Chances are she gets put in a house.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
Bounces from orphanage to halfway home.
Look, I got nothing, man. I looked out for my squad until the very end, and well, that was the last thing I had to care for. I didn't get to do it for too long, so please let me care for something. Let me make that up for what I've done, okay?
Kind of presses his fingers against the bridge of his nose.
Man, there were 30 kids down there, just 31.
As
No
you-
one knows she's a thing.
Talking, he pulls out a pad and writes something down on it, rips it out, just kind of like listening to you as he's writing, hands you a slip of paper. This is my phone number. You call me if anything happens to her. She's gonna have a better chance with you. Good luck, Ray.
Thank you, sir.
Steps away. A few moments pass before Laura walks over to you.
All right, Laura. Ready to get that McDonald's?
Mm-hmm.
All right, come on. Let's go. We walk, maybe. Honestly, if I can, if it is set up this way, if it's the LFPD, I want to kind of just walk through one more time. If my car is on, like the other end, and I gotta just see.
Walking through,
Yeah.
and as you're walking with Laura by your side, you pass faces of men you've worked close with through your tenure here, as brief as it was. Aaron Lang gives you a nod, Dwayne Gaines, all of the night shift workers that you've become accustomed to, as well as day shift mixed in there too.
Can I pull Lang to the side.
Yeah, and he just kind of steps over and looks at you.
What'd you do with their families?
April's safe, but Caleb's mom didn't make it. We were attacked. April's back at the station.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm alright. It's just been a rough couple of hours.
Is April's good? Jerry's wife?
I don't know.
You didn't have...
I wasn't told to keep after her.
I think he told her to leave. Just hope she's alright. If you hear anything, I gave Lieutenant a number of a fella, Simon. Just if you need to, if for any reason anyone needs to tell me anything, you give that number a call, alright?
You're leaving?
Yeah, I gotta go, man. Listen, those three were heroes, alright? I came here with a different... I kind of look around with everyone's there. We talked about this, man. I came here, I did what I needed to do. And although it seemed like I got dragged into a lot of shit, I was the one that ended up doing a lot of the dragging. They're the heroes, man.
For what it's worth, I think you're a good cop.
Thanks, Lang. I pat him on the shoulder and I kind of speed walk away with Laura.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he kind of looks down at the ground for a couple of moments before going back to what he was doing. Where do you head?
Back to our van.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see there's a couple cops that are kind of like walking away from it. The van is still there on the driveway up to Joanne's home.
I want to, go put my extra shit in the van, unload a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then can I go up to the house, the door of the house?
Yep.
Knock on it.
Yeah, knock on it. A few minutes pass before Joanne opens it up and sees you.
Hello, Miss Bird.
Hello.
I didn't meet you. I believe earlier 2 of my colleagues spoke with you.
Oh, the reporters. She kind of like looks out now past you at all the police sirens.
The information you gave my 2 partners, we got the men and the people that took your boy, your grandson. We got him. We took him down.
Really?
They're done. Okay. And then I just back away pretty swiftly and get back to the van.
She's just kind of like breathing as she kind of like steadies herself on the door frame. You make your way back to the van. Laura sitting in the passenger seat swinging her legs.
All right, Laura. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Start her up.
Start her up and drive off.
And I am going to head... Could I assume that it being the police vehicle already, that I already have a sufficient amount of cover-ish with the tags?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. I start driving east to Pittsburgh.
To Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And we will do your whole epilogue, but I want to save it for a little bit later.
Yeah.
We'll pick up with that. It'll probably be one of the second or maybe third last things to do. Driving off eastward as the sirens fade in the distance. Turn the headlights on to open roads. Heading east. Welcome to the epilogue, gentlemen. Fading to black as Ray heads eastward. We're going to pick up 4 hours ago. The inside of a home. A living room. Aaron Lang sits on a sofa next to April McNeil. They're watching Hawaii 5-0 as Caleb's mom reads in a chair beside them. Lang, staring intently at the TV, he looks off in the distance for a moment and then cocks his head quickly, listening, and says, "Get in the bathroom. Now." A door handle, with a hand slowly reaching for it, gently grabbing it, turning it slowly, and opening it. The same living room now empty. You notice the back door opens slowly as in steps a man with a black mask and another behind him. They take 2 steps in before a shotgun blast sends the first one rocketing. Into the room steps Aaron Lang holding a semi-automatic shotgun. The second man reaches for a handgun before Lang fires again, sending the second man to the floor. Quickly rushing in, 2 more, and a third opening up the front door. Lang quickly fires again, dropping another one before nervously shoving his hand in his pocket for more shells in an attempt to reload. It'll take too much time. He cracks one of them over the head with the shotgun, dazing them, before the other lunges for the shotgun, grabbing it and uses it to choke Lang from behind. He kicks at the dazed man, who's knocked to the kitchen counter. This loosens the grip the assailant has on the shotgun, and Lang manages to wrestle it away and quickly load in another shell, releasing the bolt, chambering around, and firing it, dropping another to the ground. The man who was kicked into the kitchen counter grabs a knife out of a rack and desperately lunges at Lang, tackling him to the ground and sending the shotgun clattering. The man is on top, trying to drive the knife into Lang, who's pushing hard against it. They struggle for a moment as the tip of the knife touches Lang's Adam's apple. In a moment, the sound of shattering glass as the assailant falls unconscious. Lang looks up to see April, who smashed a nearby vase on the assailant's head. He coughs, catches his breath, grabs the shotgun, and loads in a couple more rounds as he says, "To the car. Get to the car. We can't stay here." From out of a nearby room, Caleb's mother comes out to meet them. The 3 make their way towards the door and step out, sprinting to Lang's cruiser. A Minneapolis cruiser outside as well, with 2 men near it, both armed. They begin firing as the 3 enter the car. Lang in driver, April in passenger, and Amelia in the back. As Lang starts the car and peels out in reverse, an errant gunshot rockets through the back window, lodging itself in Caleb's mother's neck, sending a spurt of blood across the back seat. Lang, panicked, fuck, guns it in reverse, full speed into the 2 shooters behind him. "Get down, April, hold on." Rams the car into the other cruiser, crushing one of the assailants between him and theirs. He puts it in drive and speeds off, making his way towards the station, eventually reaching it. He gets out, along with April, and sprints to the front door to find the lobby empty, the VCU empty, cubicles cleared, stations abandoned. "Hello?" he calls. A figure steps out from a closed conference room door. Dwayne Gaines. Looking distraught, Aaron steps up. "Gaines, there were Minneapolis police," and Gaines just says, "Come in here." Lang motions for April to have a seat as he approaches the conference room. He steps in to see a scene. Nearly the entire police department, along with Dr. Davy Jones, crammed shoulder to shoulder in this conference room, huddled around the table. Spread across this table are developed photos. Photos of Doug. Photos of Golden King. Photos of RJ. Photos of evidence, and most importantly, a photo of the topographical map with an outlined property line that you took from the county clerks. Everyone's quiet, in thought. Longo, at the head of the table, is on the phone. "Thornton, can you get a bird in the air? How soon?" "All right, listen, I'll call you from a payphone. It's worse than I thought. It's Captain Rick Thornton, with his ear up to the phone, somewhere in Minnesota, fiddles with a Minneapolis police badge in his fingers, In the background, a man stands behind bars in a small cell. Thornton looks at the badge. It's bad on our end too, Glenn. I'll wait for your call. Longo hangs up the phone, looks towards Lang. Why didn't they tell us? Fade to black. Now, what happens over the course of the next 2 years is the largest investigation into police corruption in the history of the United States. No, do you want to digest that?
Lang took a 7v1.
You want to take? Go
A
ahead. Take your time.
7v1. Did
Take
you
some
roll
time.
for any of that?
No.
Oh, you just wrote it. Okay. I didn't know if you were like getting
So
rolls out there.
badass.
No.
Oh
He's
my
so
god.
badass.
No, I'm sorry. I'll give you guys time to digest because there's a
And he
bunch of
said-
different
he said
epilogues.
it was a rough night. That's what he said to me.
It was kind of a rough night, bro.
Aaron Lang turned into a fucking man.
None of us would have died if we just brought Lang to the cabin.
Aaron Lang used to be a boy.
Goddamn
He
winners
is
in
a
one hand.
Fucking
Elevated
man.
chokehold.
Aaron Lang said,
You trying to hurt my friends?
Fuck yeah, he did.
Aaron Lang
Bro.
took dick
Holy
and balls
fuck.
out.
7v1 to save April.
Holy
God damn.
In April, got him.
What a fucking
What a
Yeah, that's
beast,
badass.
dude.
How old is April?
beast.
14, 15.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah.
It's like a Stranger Things kid.
Yeah.
Right.
The fucking pictures,
That
dude.
level
Those
of
pictures
power.
are probably so fucked.
That's insane. That you took the picture of the Belchester map too.
He said he was taking pictures of.
I was snapping
Yeah,
pics
We
of
were taking
everything.
pictures of everything.
I was mad paranoid.
Fuck yeah.
That's
I take
awesome.
pictures.
Fuck yeah.
I pull up my camera and take pictures.
Yeah. Bro, I was carrying around like 4 canisters of shit.
I think the biggest one is when
So-
he's getting his hand bit off that you're still taking pictures.
The only reason that any of this getting involved is because those canisters were handed over.
Yeah.
What's so funny over there?
That was an action in combat. I said, I take a picture
Yeah.
of him getting his hand.
Dude,
out.
in the moment, I was like, "That was the what? Just shoot him!" But it made it mattered so much.
picture
That was an action in
crazy.
combat. And those
It was
actions
an
in
action
combat
in
were
combat.
like fucking the value of gold.
Yeah,
And
100%.
Ray
my
fucking
gun
went,
away.
I take out my picture. I take out my camera. Fucking snaps some pictures.
Dude.
They meant so much in the end.
So
God, bro.
So Davey didn't see these pictures until he got home after he ran away from us.
Davey lived too.
Davey
They didn't
lived.
get Davey.
Davey
They
lived.
didn't get
They
Davey on the
They didn't
road.
get Davey. So
A
Davey
taxi
got
got through.
back and
Taxi
then was
got
like,
through.
"Oh fuck."
So they weren't keen
Like,
about
right?
Davey then. That means they didn't
Were
know
al-
shit
They
about
weren't
Davey.
already
Yeah.
developed. At
I
that
mean, he wasn't on the list.
He
though.
Davey
but he
had
was
to develop them.
involved,
So he
right?
got
Oh,
back, developed
very.
them, and like had
He
like
was
a
next
moment
to
of,
Lang,
like,
our number 2
oh,
guy.
fuck.
right?
Like
Oh yeah.
this is why these motherfuckers are crazy.
We got 3 more pages of epilogue.
I'm
to get
sorry.
through.
Who said? Why didn't they tell us? Who said?
Longo.
Longo. He wouldn't have fucking believed it.
He wouldn't have believed.
He would have
Actually,
fucking believed it.
I think he would have believed it.
Not in the moment. Not in the moment that we come back and he wants our badges. I don't think he was listening to shit.
Yeah, it's facts.
That was more
Yeah.
difficult.
Well, okay,
pressing
we couldn't
situation.
tell him about any of the supernatural.
And then
shit.
also,
Like
I
the-
mean, you have to
couldn't.
consider
You
that
have
at
to
that
see
point,
it.
one of the only things that will convince him is hard evidence. So what are you gonna say? Yeah, I know you're gonna take our badge, and I know that we're running off the Belchester, but can we just take 2 hours so you can develop these photos and then look at them?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hide this from you. You guys were on a timer. I know the whole concept of RJ saying you show up and then we're ready to bing bang. That was a lie. That was a flat out lie. You guys were on a timer. You guys could have arrived prior to that battle happening, much later. It would have already been destroyed. Like, you guys were on a serious timer. I do want to make that clear.
I don't think we like dawdled. I mean, like, it took us a while, but like, I think it was.
There is one moment of serious dawdle, and we still got epilogue to go through, and I don't want to get too much into it yet.
Sorry.
Is there? Because I have a question. Is there more Longo involvement in any of the epilogues?
Yes,
Okay. All right. I'm not gonna ask it.
absolutely.
Okay.
Get to the fucking cool sentence you just said that too.
What?
The fucking largest
Oh, yeah.
investigation in police corruption.
What happens over the course of the next 2 years is the largest investigation into police corruption in the history of the United States. Headed by Lieutenant Glenn Longo, a task force was created. Charges are levied against members of 16 separate precincts, including Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Madison. 2,284 officers are put on trial for charges ranging from bribery, racketeering, fraud, weapon and drug trafficking, extortion, forgery, tax evasion, all the way up to homicide, rape, arson, and kidnapping. 40% of these charges stick. A total of 913 police officers face a combined 18,000 years in prison. 91 of them are sentenced to death. Officer Aaron Lang receives 3 years in prison for his involvement with the Aseo murders, eventually lessened to extended suspension without pay, where he assists in the investigation anyway. But it doesn't just end with police. Nearly 100 criminals from various organized crime families are indicted in this case, leading to the collapse of the LaRocca crime family, among others. However, this case takes longer and is less encompassing than intended due to one key snag. During excavations of a ranch belonging to Dan Winters, police find many bodies, including Jerry Flores, Caleb O'Connor, Ray Hoyt, wink wink, 3 renowned Italian surgeons, 28 children, about a quarter of which can be identified, Dan Winters himself, and a deformed but wholly intact older woman. The United States government quickly inserts themselves and took control of the scene, but not before a particular key piece of evidence was discovered, leading to additional charges levied against 3 mayors, 2 senators, and a handful of famous actors, authors, and celebrities. 4 weeks into the cleanup of the ranch, 2 crime scene investigators uncovered, buried beneath a pen in the ranch's stable marked Nez, a triple-bagged trash bag containing 16 8mm film reels depicting a series of depraved, sinister acts, including Chief of Police Dan Winters raping, killing, and eating a child. These films served as the crux of the investigation and led to several implicated individuals flipping for full cooperation of their knowledge. Along with the police, mafia, and celebrities, charges are levied against another total of 70 individuals, including an army colonel, proven to have been assisting this ring in smuggling weapons originally for use in the Vietnam War. Through the development, investigation, and prosecution of this case, the names Roy McNeil, Jerry Flores, Ray Hoyt, and Caleb O'Connor are largely forgotten, mentioned in proceedings simply as the LFVCU. This case, all investigations and sentencing are completed by May 1974 and shocks the country and world with its headlines. If you guys want to digest that too, I mean, we can take some time.
3 years for Aaron Lang for the Aseo
For
murders?
what?
Yeah, what the fuck did he... For involvement in the Aseo murders? Or... But how did they even...
It was, like I mentioned, it was eventually lessened to extended
like a
suspension
deal.
without pay.
Someone
and-
had to get something, so they had to. Right. Like, that's what it sounds like.
Fuck. I mean, I don't know if you could peel back.
Man, that fucking sucks, dude.
Davey get anything?
No.
Did
We
did
fucked
what's his
Lang,
name?
bro.
The researcher from Chicago?
Becker?
Yeah.
No, Becker is not involved in this case whatsoever.
So then what did Lang do, though? Can you explain
What
that?
did Lang do?
What the fuck did Lang do where it's like, prison 3 years, Aseo murders, you're involved?
Because it was like a trial, right?
Yeah, it was a full-blown trial. The prosecution came forward and said, and I'll peel back the curtain. I didn't say it explicitly, but Aaron Lang gave a full testimony of everything that happened and implicated himself in that testimony. Said, I had knowledge that they were breaking the law. I allowed them to break the law. I did nothing to stop them.
Okay, that makes sense.
We committed several murders unlawfully, and they were like, we have to give you prison. But it's Aaron Lang, and so they just ended up switching it to extended suspension without pay anyway.
In the fucking face of that, too, never gave up that you were alive. Never gave up shit. Said, you know what? Fuck it. I'll take 3 years in prison. When he could have just said, you know what? One of those guys is still out there. I'll flip on him.
Nobody in the LFVCU ever gave up Ray Hoyt.
Fuck.
I kind of like the concept of us just being addressed as one unit as the LFVCU. Kind of like that instead of being. I don't know. Roy would like that.
Also, I don't think we were meant to be heroes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe on like a podcast 40 years later.
If you
Somebody talks about the four detectives.
untold story of the LFVCU.
Somebody comes out with a fucking sick ass book.
Hey
Yeah,
guys.
dude, it's
8
gonna be-
days in the
Hey
north.
guys, it's Greg with Untold Stories back again.
Taking it back to 1971.
There's gonna be a fucking movie made about us, dude.
Yeah, that's fucking sick.
Can't wait for that. That should be coming out around this year.
It's like an. It's like if you know, you know. Like the motherfuckers that know Roy and Jerry. Like you know,
Some
you know that.
dumb
the
asshole on
film.
Twitter is commenting. They had nothing to fucking do with it.
1989. Langley, Virginia. A stressed intern steps into an office and places a stack of folders on a desk, occupied by a suited man. The intern says, "Recent reports on federal fugitives, sir." The man behind the desk says nothing as the intern steps out. Then he grabs and begins reviewing the folders, eventually finding a write-up on Leo Morrison. His figure chuckles quietly before pulling out a shredder from beneath his desk, runs the folder through it. Special agent in charge, Dwayne Gaines, lights up a cigarette, kicks the shredder back under his desk. After rising in ranks to sergeant, Dwayne Gaines pursues a career with the FBI, earning numerous accolades along the way, eventually retiring having led an illustrious career, taking up repairing motorcycles as a hobby. He thinks often about the time he spent helping the LFVCU and views the four of you as problematic and reluctant heroes, but acknowledges your bravery nonetheless. 1977. Linwood Falls, Minnesota. A little girl kicks her feet on a waiting room chair. On the walls are decals of paw prints and cutouts of dogs. A veterinarian's clinic. "Is Snowball gonna be okay?" she asks her father, who replies, "Snowball's having her babies right now, and when she's done, we'll get to take them home and take care of all of them." Child, excited, goes back to swinging her feet before a door opens. Dr. Davy Jones, holding a cardboard box of newborn kittens, proudly presents them to the owners. After the case is concluded, Davy pursues his passion and becomes a veterinarian. He often has nightmares surrounding the pictures he developed, but instead of feeling sorry for himself, instead mourns the LFVCU and all that they had to endure.
Alright, we need to stop.
Go ahead.
I fucking love that for Davey, man. I fucking love that.
Go
for
ahead,
him.
digest.
Alright, I'm ready.
Gaines! He just fucking.
Oh.
Yo!
Are you mad?
No, I love him! Bro,
What a real one.
Why the
he
fuck?
fucking chuckled.
Bro, 1989?
17, 18 years later, he just chuckles it off.
Why the fuck's Leo Morrison a fugitive?
Oh, well, that's no, it's
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You still have more vignette.
Why is you?
That was a question for myself.
1983, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Two cops walk side by side into their precinct, bragging about their recent theft. $80,000 in banded cash from a drug bust. They laugh as they enter, met face to face with a suited individual, and the color drains from their face. The figure looks at him. "Internal Affairs, Glenn Longo. Let's have a chat." Lieutenant Longo, after his work on the case, immediately applies for a transfer to Internal Affairs, committed to holding police accountable for breaking the law. He led an impressive career, proudly reigning on the parade of those believing themselves to be untouchable. In between ashes of his cigarette, he often thinks how fitting it would be to have Roy by his side. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Bro, he'd be interrogating us.
All right.
Like, you guys killed someone on the job. Out of your jurisdiction.
times.
You guys murdered someone.
January 9th, 1994. Douglas, Minnesota. In a stable, a woman feeds hay to a gray horse, brushes it, then steps to another smaller brown horse and does much of the same. Seemingly proud of her work, she steps out, revealing Roy's ranch and home, largely unchanged. The woman wipes her hands on her pants, fishes a set of car keys out from her pocket before shouting, "Roy! Get out here, let's go!" In a snap, a teenage boy stumbles out of the front door holding a bouquet of flowers. "God, Mom, I'm coming!" She wrangles him to the car. They both get in and start driving. Eventually, the two reach a cemetery and step through a winding path of headstones and mausoleums, eventually reaching a grave. The two stop, stand in silence for a moment before the woman grabs the bouquet from the son, places it atop the grave marked Roy McNeil. She laughs to herself for a moment and looks towards her son. You know, that's not even his last name. The boy looks confused as an aged and mature April McNeil leans down closer to the grave. I miss you, Dad. (1997) Linwood Falls, Minnesota. A groundskeeper tending to a cemetery. He's taken the time to meticulously clean every gravestone with soap and water, making his way down the line, removing dirt and scum to properly display the names of the fallen. Kenneth Mackenzie. The dots in the eye always seem to catch dirt. He wonders why that is. Samuel LaFleur. Spick and span, clean as a whistle. Helen Simmons. S's are always fun to clean the way that they wind and twist. Caleb O'Connor. Each C a satisfying swipe. On to the next. No flowers. No honors on your grave. Another hunk of granite in a sea of headstones. You're on a platform, uniformed side by side with a dozen other uniformed young men. State of Michigan Police Academy, graduation day 1951. Stiff and at attention as a crowd of friends and family look on. Nervous you find yourself. The length of your father's shadow and the burden of following in his footsteps. To be a good man. To be a good cop. In the sea of faces, as the names of your fellow graduates are called, you lock eyes with them. Killian. Proud. He nods as he wipes a tear from his eye. (1974) San Antonio, Texas. A woman sits at a kitchen table, taking gentle sips from a coffee cup. She looks listfully out the window, ruminating, deep in thought. Her hands shake as she raises the cup, and she notices the shaking, looks down at her hands, almost furious at herself. She tightens her grasp on the coffee cup and hurls it against the wall, shattering and sending a streak of black that runs down. A voice from behind her says, "We miss him too." Emma Flores looks back at Jerry's mom and dad, then back to the stain she caused on the wall. She grits her teeth and sighs. Every fucking day. Your family and wife mourn you deeply, always questioning the circumstances surrounding your death, but never getting a clear answer. Emma never remarries, carries you in her heart for the rest of her days. Now I'm going to turn it over to Chuck. What does Ray's epilogue look like?
All right. Well, after leaving east from Belchester and driving for a good while, stopping at a late night McDonald's, getting a Thanksgiving-sized meal for both of us, I arrive at one Simon Burton's apartment, a good friend of mine from when I moved to Pittsburgh initially, and we stake out there for a good while. I officially take on my third and final, hopefully, identity. One, allowing me to a little more freely communicate with Simon, making my last name Burton as a cover of being some sort of distant cousin of sorts, staying for a while, and honoring the man who saved me in a slight innuendo, taking on the first name Connor Burton, and my new fostered child, Laura Burton. And after, crashing with Simon for a while, getting our bearings straight, getting our new identities in order, stalking the LaRocca family aftermath and where they initially impacted me, Ray kind of decides it's the best healing to go back to his home, his true home back in West Virginia. And he resides there for the rest of his days. Laura grows up, and I mean, we have a good relationship, but she, she knows her family's dead and gone, so she kind of wants to go do her own thing. So she leaves when she grows up, and then it's just Ray. Well, it's Connor, just enjoying life down in West Virginia, being a handyman, working around his not even a ranch, just a little cottage on some acres of woods, helping around town, living a modest life. He's just he finds it funny that the person that had no one left to love or love him is the one that was fortunate enough to live such a long life.
1999. Linwood Falls, Minnesota. A crowd of reporters have gathered for the opening of a new bridge. Linwood has changed. The police station demolished and rebuilt, train tracks torn up, skyscrapers erected, and hospitals expanded. This bridge project has been a long time coming. A female figure steps up to the podium, addressing the reporters, and so, as your mayor, it is my pleasure to keep good on my promise of new, updated infrastructure, something that will benefit all citizens of Linwood Falls. Now, I'd like to hand it over to our chief of police, who'd like to say a few words. Figure walks calmly to the podium, clears his throat, and begins reading off of a set of index cards. It has been a major goal of my administration to constantly strive towards achieving justice in all fields. And while crime has significantly diminished under my watch, justice does in fact take many forms. Doing what is right, what is just. It is no secret from the reporters and tabloids that one of my major endeavors that I've attempted to undertake during my tenure as chief of police is to attempt to not only clean, but bring to the forefront the names of those who gave their lives to demolish the Winters LaRocca crime ring. I will not stand idly as the brave men of the Linwood Falls Violent Crimes Unit who gave their lives to expose the vile underbelly of society be simply forgotten to history. I would like, here and now, to dedicate this bridge to those men. Roy McNeil, Caleb O'Connor, Jerry Flores, and Ray Hoyt. Justice, in all its forms, is paramount to society as a whole, and these men gave their lives to uphold it. We continue now in our age what these men set out to do all those years ago, to protect the innocent, to hold people accountable, to save lives. And we, figure, seemingly choked up, places his index card down and takes a moment. And then, Linwood Falls Chief of Police Aaron Lang looks up directly into a nearby camera. We will not rest until it is done. The end.
Bravo. Oh my god.
I just want to take like 2-3 minutes, just catch my breath, get comfortable before we dive into this this debrief here. The first thing that I do want to do though is you're leaving. So I wanted to get you a present.
No.
Yeah.
Present.
No, don't do this.
So when I bought my jade die, I bought something for you. Of course it has to. I can only give you guys sets of dice. This is the coolest set of dice I have ever purchased in my life. It blows any set of dice that I have out of the water.
No, Joe, don't do this, dude.
Please.
Oh, let me see it. Let me see it.
He's gonna keep him in the bag.
Thanks, bro.
Now,
Opens it up and it's just crack.
while you open them, as you take a look at them, open them up, take a look, and I will explain why they are so fucking cool. Those are dice, and I am very keen on collecting dice made out of different materials.
Yeah.
That is dice made of fossilized coral.
Let's go. That's so
It has been
cool.
coated in resin to protect it, but those are made of fossilized coral.
Wow.
Love that,
Ancient
dude.
coral.
Why'd you do that?
Because I love you.
Fuck, man.
That's really cool.
Fossilized coral. So this shit's like millions of years old.
Yeah.
Badass.
Dude, what the fuck?
They're not the
Wow.
prettiest, but just the fact that they're made
I
out of
think
that, I
they're pretty.
really, really
I
like.
think they are pretty too.
I really like
Dude,
them.
They got a
Beautiful.
good weight to them
And
too.
I was just
man.
into the weights.
It's like
Yo.
heavy but not crazy.
Dude.
Joe, you don't have to do that, man.
Even though you won't be playing with us at the table, I still want you to have a nice set of dice.
You're actually rolling, right? You can't roll online.
Oh,
You're
dude,
rolling
of course.
physical, right?
you have to roll.
I'm gonna roll
Yeah.
these dice, man. I'm alright. I'm gonna get mushy. Alright, I gotta say these words. Alright, I don't give.
Get it out.
Bro, thanks. Not just for the dice, man. Like, we fucking we fucking did this shit.
We
Like,
did it.
and you, trust me. I know how much fucking effort it is, and I have not been a DM in years now, right? And I know how much fucking effort you put in, and bro, thank you.
As long as we're having fun, that's really all I care about. But, I mean, this is a group endeavor. I would not put as much effort in if I did not have players at the table that I thought gave a fuck. I only put as much effort in as the effort I get out from my players. I know every extra minute I spend working on this will be reimbursed to me in your guys' interest. And, I mean, guys, 80 episodes. 80 full length between 45 minutes to 2 hour long episodes. If this was like a TV show, that's like a solid 7 seasons.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Just as a medium, like strictly as like a piece of audio, like if this was a audio play or something like that, that's crazy.
Season 4 sucked though. I fucking hated season 4.
Season 4, it was the whole fucking Peter Pena arc. So when we kind of delve into this debrief here, I want you guys individually to go over things about your characters. What never got brought up? What questions do you have about other characters that haven't been explained? I want to go over your guys' side of the peeling back the curtain before I get into mine.
I'll start. I mean, I'll start. So
Use it as also an excuse to just sum up the character. How do you think the game was? Do you think you played your character to the fullest, you know? And then we'll get into the questions.
So Roy, I'll just generally summarize Roy's whole backstory, right? First off, now I feel like, Jerry, unless there's something I don't know about you, you and I are like the fucking saints of the story with the shit that they went through. before.
So
Backstory.
what?
wise.
The story? Or
The Saints.
yeah.
Like,
You didn't have a lot of shit.
I will.
Yeah,
I
really
I
have
will
no shit.
also say I have a lot of things from your guys' backstory that I struggled very hard to try and tie into the story. One of which
Yeah.
it was Jerry's parts of Jerry's backstory.
Yeah, I
and
agree
parts
with
of your
that. I agree
backstory
with
too.
that. I don't think that my backstory came through as much as I guess I planned for it in the beginning.
It was
You know what I
hard
mean? It
for
was really
me
hard.
to try and tie
Yeah.
it in, and I always try to tie your guys' backstory in, but I just felt like anything I would do would be like tying it to like the Laracas or
Yeah,
something like that,
yeah.
and I felt like that was a little bit cliched because Ray's pretty much already
Yeah, I
playing
know.
it.
I
You know what I
that
mean?
makes sense. Totally makes sense.
So go ahead.
So Roy, yeah. So, and then they fucking made the comment in the epilogue of, it's not even his real last name. Yeah, Roy is from he's from Winnipeg, Canada. His last name is, well, so his sister Renee eloped with somebody. They eloped to Chicago, which is close to Winnipeg. Parents didn't approve, whatever. Although they eloped, they never got married. Fast forward, his sister found out she was pregnant. Basically, the guy fucking got cold feet, dipped. So when Roy, their parents never approved of this eloping. Obviously, didn't like the guy to begin with, and it was kind of justified when he left. So after he left, Renee, Roy's sister, had still been in contact with Roy. She hadn't been talking to the parents because they disapproved of this whole fucking fiasco, but Roy had still been talking to her. When Roy found out about this, he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go help you out during your pregnancy, whatever. Stayed together in Chicago. She died during childbirth. That's April. That's how April was born. And Roy Nadeau, Renee Nadeau, that's his original name. So basically he fucking was like, fuck it, he was a cop in Winnipeg, but he was like, I'm gonna stay here, I like it better here, I'm gonna take care of April. And so fuck, there's, I don't know, just again, general summary. He met this, he met a guy while he was staying in Chicago with Renee, named Adam Perez, which you made the comment about a couple sessions ago, and I forgot to fucking bring it back up with you, but it has haunted me since that session. He hung out with this guy, Adam Perez. Adam was like, yo, if you want to stay here, there's a guy that I know, he works at one of the steel mills in Linwood Falls, that can get you some papers, like fake papers, to keep you around here. It was like that simple. He changed his name to Roy McNeil. April took on the name of McNeil, and that was it. Lived here, applied to the fucking department, stayed here, found that he really likes ranch life, taking care of his horses and everything, or his horse and his farm. That's it. That's his backstory. There's no dirt. I don't know. There's no dirt. So when I fucking said like a few weeks ago, like, it's just like a dude that just like lived life. Like,
There was a whole thing about drug trafficking, wasn't there?
Well,
in your backstory.
Okay,
you're skipping over that part.
He got caught for selling weed. And in
Oh
the
my
60s,
All right, you fucking cop, Joe.
I'm just
Roy
saying.
fucking cop.
Roy was a fucking
he was like in his
hippie,
20s and like sold weed, and because it's in the 60s, it's like, you're selling fucking drugs? You're fucking...
Isn't that reefer? Is that the devil's lettuce?
Yeah. So he had a fucking criminal record, and yeah. So he had a
Roy
criminal
was
record
a
in Canada.
deadhead, doing acid all the time.
And he was just like, no, I don't know. So he was just selling weed in fucking Canada, and which wasn't a long thing to begin with, but of course, and I fucking remember like looking up like the law. What happens if you fucking get caught selling drugs in Winnipeg, Canada in 1963?
Yeah, what do you think my whole fucking life is?
Of course I fucking
How
do.
much time have I spent on Chat GPT, like Googling like killing kid in Minnesota, 1971.
Real.
Like there's,
Yeah.
you know, when people like joke about like being on lists, like, oh, like I googled this one thing. Joe's on a fucking list.
Oh,
Joe
big
is
time,
on
big time.
all of
Don't even get me started. When I was writing for our campaign F-Cell, I had to like look very, very in depth about like post 9/11 like TSA like contraband and stuff like that, like how to sneak stuff into airport, like how to not get caught at
So
airport,
bad,
like
dude.
all
That's
sorts of
so
shit.
bad.
That's
Um,
awful.
I do want to just take one moment while I have this break, and please, you have to understand the way that my brain works is when these ideas come into my head, I have to say them out loud. I'm not going to remember them. I want to take a second to just kind of explain where this campaign came from. I think I've said it a couple times before, but basically the whole gist of this campaign was I was inspired by a string of stories that I was reading about a lot of uninvestigated child murders that happened in the Midwest around this time period. A lot of kids got killed. A lot of them weren't investigated because the kids were either not white or didn't come from like good families or anything like that. And there's like dozens and dozens of these cases that kind of got piled up. And from that kind of extended this whole campaign. Sexual assault cases to the fact that child abuse, child pornography wasn't really prosecuted in this time period, which is, I mean, insane to me. Like, this is the kind of stuff that inspired the campaign. And beyond that, further than that, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, but the actual themes of this campaign about identity and justice and evil and, nature versus nurture, a lot of that kind of tied into this, and I felt like it kind of related back to this main concept of, these police officers not doing their jobs. And I wanted a campaign where the police officers fucking do their jobs. And I think that we achieved that. And although that's my goal for making the campaign, I am kind of glad that it naturally became our goal. Sorry, you can continue. Like I said, as we're going through this debrief, you have to understand that like half of this campaign is just floating in my head.
I'll take one thing.
All the stuff that hasn't come out and isn't written down on paper, it's just going to come up naturally as we're kind of having these discussions and talking about this. So I'm just going to chime in as we're talking and just bring up random shit.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like Roy was played to his fullest?
You know what I do?
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I don't think
really
there's
fucking
any character at this table that was not explored to the capacity that was allowed.
Yeah.
I think that there's alternate choices that you guys could have made to take your characters in different directions. You guys didn't choose to do that, which is not bad, not negative to the narrative as a whole. But for the most part, I think you guys came up with 4 really fucking good characters. Really fucking good characters.
I think Jerry could have been played a little bit better, but maybe that's just me being criticized.
Let's dive in. Talk to me about Jerry.
Well, I think it kind of ties into like you were saying how like it kind of in the middle like things started to get slow. I think like Nick started to kind of lose it a little bit, and that tied into like Jerry kind of. I feel like he didn't have a really big role for a little while, for like a good gap in the campaign in the middle. I think he started out hot and then kind of slowed down towards the middle, and then I think it was basically like the McAllister stuff kind of brought Jerry back in. I
think at the beginning,
because at that point with the McAllister stuff, that was like that was when we got on the Doug, and I think that was when Jerry started to really like pop again, like towards the end.
To me, Jerry
I think there was a dull good
from the jump
10-15
from episode 1. Jerry struck me as a go-getter.
Definitely.
I want to be a cop. I want to do this.
Yeah.
And I did have, I think out of everyone at the table, I think I have the most scenes written for you that we never got a chance to run. And that's, I would say, probably a 50-50 split of me not being able to find a natural way to incorporate it, and also you guys not going down certain roads and going to certain paths. But I think out of everyone at the table, you have the most content on paper that wasn't explored to you. So yeah, Jerry started out as this go-getter, really hard, straight shooter, and then I do agree that it kind of got
slow,
washed away a little bit, but I think that it came immediately back to that same, but it was different, with the same intensity, but with different motivations and different lenses.
Right, definitely. There was definitely like character development there. But I do think another thing that has to do with it is I think I had crazy luck with sanity in this entire fucking campaign.
What do you mean?
I didn't break for so long.
Yeah.
So long. And I was like passing sanity check after sanity check. I wasn't getting that many sanity checks, like compared to you guys were like every fucking sanity check. And like I would just be like, oh, I'm not.
I think you got a pretty rough disorder to roleplay with. I think that
I did, and I had more plans with it, and then it just kind of didn't really work out until the end. Like, although I didn't get to like roleplay it really heavily, like it was.
It was
no.
It was subtle.
Curtain.
It was subtle.
Yeah,
it was very subtle. But when you mentioned it, I think we were off mic, and you did mention like part of why Jerry acted the way that he did in the end was because of his disorder, and like he did get like an acute episode.
Yeah, kind of like a recklessness.
I didn't pick up on that in the moment, but looking back, it 100% makes sense. You know.
Yeah. Like again, it's like I don't know. Jerry took his gun out, like, and it wasn't really like, or he said like, "What happens if we shoot you or whatever?" And this motherfucker, no hesitation, said, "Try it." And Jerry in that moment is like, "Do you know who the fuck you?" And shot him. Yeah. And that's just kind of like, I feel like with his shit, it just made sense for him to just be like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna shoot you."
So who was Jerry? What was his backstory?
Well, Jerry came from San Antonio, Texas, across the country, literally, down south. He had a good life, but his dad was like a big in like a biker gang, a lot of illegal shit, and I really was. That's another thing that I was a little bit hoping to be able to tie in like the like mechanic background of Jerry.
I was hoping that you would take the bait on Dwayne Gaines having a motorcycle and try to connect with him on that.
That makes sense. Like, so he was like he learned a lot about motorcycles and shit like that. He was very good with like mechanics and shit. And
there was also a dream I wanted to run with you about you and your dad in the garage, and it's like right before you decide to become a private investigator. I had like a whole thing written about like you talking to your dad and him telling you like, when you get close to this nitty-gritty stuff, it's hard to tell the line between who's good, who's bad. Yeah. That line gets blurred, and, you know, he's talking about that, and he's kind of drunk when he's kind of talking to you. I had a whole thing written out, and there was never a natural point for me to kind of incorporate that. Yeah,
so he kind of lived, like, a life where, like, he had a good relationship with his parents, but his dad was, like, a drunk, like, a fucking motorcycle gang. Like, he's committing murders and shit, but he's also, like, love you, bud. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, he was like good to him, but he wasn't good, and he saw a lot of that, and he kind of like took after it a little bit. But because of his mom being so like subtle and good, he had a good education, and he was smart, and he like went to school and all this shit. He became a private investigator. And there was a situation where his mom, because of the shit that his dad was getting into, got kidnapped by like another gang, and there was this big thing, and him as a private investigator had kind of a similar type of like situation like this, obviously on a much smaller scale, but he was just trying to find his mom and ended up being involved in 2 murders and got his mom back and all that shit, but he was involved in these murders, and he was basically on the run too, and his mom just sent him all the way up north where he became a detective instead of like a private investigator, and that's why he was so young. You know what I mean? It was a new thing for him, and he brought Emma with him. Emma was also from Texas, which is why he was like, go home, go home, leave, go home, go south, just leave.
You know what? Something I forgot to bring up, and I'm going to ask you this first. What do you think of your epilogue?
Sad.
isn't it?
It's fucking really sad. It definitely isn't a happy story.
I'll say this, full transparency, this was probably the best possible ending.
Yeah, it was done.
Without knowing the exact repercussions of what happened, this is probably the best it could have been.
Mm.
Obviously, if you guys all live, that's like the best, but realistically, this is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, she got away. I told her to get away early, and she did. And I mean, she ain't marrying nobody. I mean, I'm still fucking ghost married, basically.
And then, Roy,
hitting it from heaven.
what do you think about your epilogue?
I really liked it. I did. It was very fitting. So they got another horse, right? They got
Caper
another
is-
fucking horse.
Caper's long dead.
Caper didn't have an
You
epilogue.
show me any horse that can live for 40 years, I'll show you the inside of my asshole. Yeah, the Appaloosa was not mentioned. It was not seen nor heard from again.
I do have a question. You said like all these bodies like were, I guess, like recovered from the scene, but like there was an explosion. Like,
Dental records, best that they possibly could.
okay, I would have thought we would have just all been dust.
They mentioned who mentioned it? Longo? Someone did. Mentioned the three detectives, but didn't mention Roy, even though Roy was outside of the fucking.
I thought he did.
No, they were just talking about strictly what was excavated.
Oh, okay.
They did
Surely-
recover your body
Okay.
and all the bodies on the outside, but
Yeah.
just strictly what was
Okay.
excavated.
I mean, okay,
What's
I
the
figured.
They
bridge
didn't specifically
called?
remember
What's the bridge
mention
called?
Marsha or RJ.
Yeah, I don't have it named.
Alright.
What?
I didn't name the bridge.
It's
It's Roy,
Jerry,
Ray,
Roy, Caleb.
The LFVCU Memorial Bridge.
Bet.
Fat Forest
The Fat
Memorial.
Forest. The Fat
Yeah, I was
Memorial.
waiting for someone to ask what the task force for the 2-year investigation was called, because I tried for a long time to come up with an acronym that would fit and be shortened to FAT Force, but I was going through it and I'm like, False Authority Task Force, like nothing really fits, so I couldn't really come up with anything.
What happened to the lady at the pharmacy?
She got killed in a drunk driving accident.
She was drunk.
No.
She was high on medicine.
she was walking out on the street and this car just fucking smashed into her, and in those split seconds as the light faded she thought, my family invented drunk driving and now I'm dying because of it, and she saw off in the distance the statue of two men kissing.
Rip Mrs. Christensen.
So
And then she refused the medication because she.
That's
doesn't
how she
believe
died.
Fuck
the EMTs.
I had this idea in my head of doing like part of the epilogue. I wanted to hit on the main characters that I knew you guys kind of cared about, and I wanted to do Miss Christensen, but I was like, that's kind of gonna subtract from the whole weight of everything if I do Miss Christensen, like just at a pharmacy, like counting pills, like convincing someone not to take medicine or something. Caleb O'Connor. Who was this guy? How do you think he was played? Do you think you played him to the fullest? I threw in more wrenches than a fucking toolbox at you. I think, and I can say this with honesty, you dealt with them really well.
So peeling back the curtain, Caleb was written as I have this trouble a little bit, but written as a very so basic. Like more, you said that you were this normal guy. Caleb was just a normal guy.
Caleb
It was
had nothing.
nothing. It was that he was a detective. His biggest gripe in life was he couldn't live up to his father's expectations. But his father was just
killed Harry's family.
his father. I didn't fucking write that. His father was just this. He was the chief of police in Ann Arbor, and he just couldn't live up to that expectation. So he dies. He doesn't want to live in his shadow anymore. His wife's family lives in Linwood Falls. He moves to Linwood Falls to be closer to her family. That is what I wrote. And once again, I have zero issue with what you did for the character, because
I'll never do it again. I don't think that I will ever take that many liberties with a character again. It made me feel gross, and it made me feel weird, and it made me feel like I put unjust pressure on you.
Would you never write a character like that again because of how I played it? or is it just entirely?
I don't like
you?
the way that it made me feel. I felt
from,
like I was
outside-
having way too much effect on your character and not letting you explore what you had planned.
Solid.
From an outside point of view, I think it turned out.
Oh,
like
I think
badass story.
no,
Same
absolutely. I think that narrative wise, I'm very happy with it. It didn't not live up to the expectations that I set for you. I want to say, complete transparency, you knocked it out of the fucking park.
Definitely.
This was the most challenging role play restriction that I put on a character. And I would say the second most challenging is what I did to fucking Alex about having Weiss in his head. And we're going to get into that because I have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
This is the most challenging restriction, the most challenging challenge I have put in front of a player before, and you knocked it out of the fucking park, I think. But I'm curious, as Mike Finn, how did you process this? How hard was it to kind of decide how Caleb was feeling?
As me, I'll be honest. It was a lot of. It's been a year and a half. It's been, a year. We've been saying a year and a half for a while, but it's been 18 months now, and I've been going through probably about a year of Caleb being this Caleb, where we really got into it, and I felt a lot of the time like the argument with Jerry, which I still think is an awesome moment. It was the moment at Ray's trailer where Caleb breaks down, and this last week since what was it, Wednesday we played last? Monday we played last Monday, and I'm sitting there. We make these decisions. We get to the farm. It was when we were walking up to the farm, and it's this ending. We know it's the ending, and I'm sitting there thinking, and I was thinking about it the wrong way still, because I've been going back and forth about Caleb has all of this in his head. He's been built up to be this whole thing, this whole backstory of being so involved in the case and about the supernatural part of it. Caleb's got to do something big. Caleb's got to be this thing that he has to have this satisfying ending, and if Caleb's going to be this delusion, but the delusion is who Caleb wrote, who I wrote in the beginning, the Caleb that I wrote, the Caleb that he is, and the Caleb that he wanted to be at the end, the way that he went out
Rang true.
Absolutely.
I 100% believe that. I think that all this confliction that Caleb has felt about not only who he is, but who he wants to be, is the same from episode 1 to here. And it's waves, and it's a back and forth through the whole thing where you're conflicting back and forth. Who am I? Who do I want to be? Who was I meant to be? At the end, it came full circle. I want to be a good person. I want to be a good cop. I want to do right. And I think you achieved that. And I think that's kind of fucking beautiful. And I haven't really thought about it too much in depth right now, but I think Caleb in episode 80 is the same Caleb as in episode 1 while going through all this life-changing stuff, getting ripped down and building himself back up into this climax, this crescendo at the top, re-finding himself.
I definitely agree. I think Caleb overcame a lot throughout everything.
Yeah, Caleb had a quick descent into
because you
into
could have
madness,
turned
and it
into
got
you
bad.
literally could have turned into an enemy to us,
Bro,
easily.
you were. We were sussing you out
literally.
early.
There was so many times where everyone was like, "This fucking Caleb, dude. Keep a fucking
Dude,
eye
how
on
that?
him."
I wonder what the
so
first
much.
episode.
Slept, bro.
When do you think the first
Yeah.
We're on
session?
shifts to watch you when you sleep.
When do you think the first session we were really sussing out about him was? It was 30s.
No. It was earlier than that.
Earlier?
Because the first, the time when it devolved was after the coffin. Was the night that we slept after the coffin was when Caleb had his first, well, obviously having forever, we realized the first slip up. And you guys learned, I think the argument that me and Jerry have was episode 18.
Yeah, it was definitely early.
It's early.
Definitely early.
And then it never
75% of the campaign.
yeah.
Crazy.
And that's what I was worried about.
I don't think that ever went away.
No.
That was a
really
fucking
didn't.
milestone moment of the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And we held on to that.
Dude, then there was a moment with Ray where he found out, and it was It's way more than a milestone.
And that was the whole thing about coming out of the cabin and burning, or coming out of the shed and burning it, is that was, I think, the first time that anybody in the group, that moment, dragging the barrel back and admitting to Ray, if anything was the real Caleb, that was it.
All right. Let's talk about Ray.
Yeah.
The sole survivor.
Yeah, feels weird.
I think you played Ray perfectly.
Yeah.
Fuck
I
yeah,
don't think
dude.
you had one misstep. I don't think that you ever abandoned the core concept of your character. I think, especially now that it's all over, if anyone goes back and listens to every single decision that you make, they can see the clarity.
Yeah, man, I feel like most things I was saying, I had that in mind. I had my end goal in mind.
Sum up Ray as a character for me.
Yeah, so Ray is like your typical, you know, polite, mild-mannered, southern, God-fearing man. You know, young man who's a boy. You know, like boy on a small farm, right? Like very rural living. He did manual labor. He had the whole reason he didn't get got by Caleb back in when he was working was he had a brother just like him that, you know, they kind of stuck together, had the same job, and Caleb killed my fiance and my brother, who he thought was me.
I had that planned since session 1.
That it was Caleb?
Yep.
I listened to that today, and I fucking loved what you were doing with RJ.
That quote really sums up Ray as a character, where it's like, I can't stop moving. I can't let this go. I can't let their names become memories. And that's who Ray was to me, at least, as I'm running the game. That's what I have in my head.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm trying to like get a vibe to capture as I'm RPing rather than like a paragraph of a backstory I wrote, and
Right.
as I'm writing this, the more I got, I was like, this is literally just John Wick. How dare you fuck with this man? How dare you fuck with this man? He is now on an internal mission to take down everything.
I never made that connection, but it is very, very poignant.
Yeah, it's like that's like, I mean, it's not the same thing, you know. Like
At
No,
the
it's
end,
the
your
same-
dog did die.
It's the same motivator. It's the
Dog
same motivator.
killed
I didn't even
Yeah.
make that
Dog.
connection
It's
either
like,
about him
how
having a
dare
dog.
you? I'm that little piece of fucking gum, and they thought they could flick it, but they flicked it in all the gears, and it got everywhere.
When did
you
your
know?
fiance die in relation to the start of the campaign?
He murdered.
No, when?
Oh, okay. So he worked.
Alex just picks up on that now.
Where's the finger?
Wait, what happened? Where's your fiance?
He
Okay,
did.
so I wanted to tie in the mob because I wanted to be able to chase something down to Linwood Falls, Minneapolis.
And
Right?
I think there are a lot of coincidences that kind of happened in your guys' character creation that tied into the main story because the mob was involved from the start.
Yeah.
And that was a really, really cool connection to kind of tie in. And I just had like this vague mob family, and I'm like, oh my god, it's the Little Rockas.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
I mean, here we go. Let me pull this out right here. This is first journal, front page. I had written down 5 prominent leaders of crime families, 2 in Pittsburgh, 1 in Milwaukee, 2 in Chicago. Because when I talked about it, we had said I'm going to base it off of real world families.
Yeah.
And the first one written in here, this is session 0, is John Sebastian LaRocca out of Pittsburgh. So, I mean, it was all there from the beginning. That's why the first time he said LaRocca, I mean, you won't know because you won't remember the visuals from it. My fucking
But
my ears peaked right up. I was like, oh,
What's
here we go. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, like on my lunch break, I was a construction contractor at the time, and so was my brother. And I saw some dealings of the LaRocca crime family, and I kind of was looking for a little too long, and then they kind of gave me a look like, obviously we acknowledged each other, and something shady was going on. And I just drove away and didn't really think much of it. And at work, which me and my brother kind of lived very close to each other. We both had houses very close to each other in like a suburb of the city. And so we carpooled. So I was like, you know what? there was an overtime opportunity. I was like, you go home, you stop at my house, you tell Laurel I'm gonna be home a little late. I'll get a ride with my coworker, and I'll meet you home after dinner or something. And then he went home, and I got home, and then my brother my car, right? My brother and Laurel were shot dead in the house. The door was unlocked. Yeah, so
Caleb, what the
I went ghost
Yeah,
immediately.
why'd you do that, bro?
Had to like
fuck.
PI
Why the
and
fuck
shit.
did you do that?
fucking
your
piece of
colleague.
shit.
Had to
got a
PI and
problem?
shit.
Not fucking bad, bro.
Yo,
My
why?
bad.
Homie, type dude.
One of the boys.
Homie type dude. You just
Yeah.
meet him. You're like, that's the boy. It's like
Literally,
wow.
why would you write that, dude?
Day one,
My
it's-
bad, my bad.
Why
it's
would you
kind of
write
the boy.
that, you fucking piece of shit?
Yeah, so he helped me out. He was like, bro, if you really want to get these guys, I mean, you gotta like go ghost for a while, like, hunt them down, stake them out. I was like, you know what? You're fucking right. I got nothing, man.
So Simon was just like your boy.
Simon was a boy, bro. He was just a boy. I was on a construction site. A lot of blue collar guys.
Yeah.
I found a legit loyal dude that was
When
looking to grind. Make a
when I
living,
was
just like me.
provided with your guys' backstories, there were striking similarities between yours and Alex's. New identities,
Same name.
close,
Minus a letter.
very similar names.
Same real name and same fake name. You fucks. Did you guys playing that?
Close friend
no,
that provided you
no.
with assistance. I remember seeing it and being like, these motherfuckers.
No, we didn't plan this.
Bro,
I'm
fucking
very
texted
aware.
you
I know.
So many times I was like, yo, what the fuck are the guys' names? Because I don't want a similar name. And you were like, dude, it's fucking real life. Like, if it's the same
Even
name,
if it
just
was
leave
Roy and Roy, imagine that'd be kind of sick.
No,
I've seen
do you
that.
know how many times I've listened back and I sound dumb as shit a couple times where I try to fake it, like I'm trying to remember like what, like Caleb's a little bit confused. I was trying to remember which one was Ray and which one was Roy for like the first
I
40
said Roy
episodes.
I think-
and Ray multiple times.
But
I mixed that up
For the
multiple
first
times.
couple of
Yeah, yeah.
episodes, one thing that I wanted to do was address you guys by your last names. I gave up on that maybe
I was about to
session
say,
4.
if you guys did have the same name, it would have been kind of cool if we were like, you're the sergeant, like, we're gonna call you like you're Roy or whatever, and then we just called him Hoyt all the time. It's just Hoyt, Hoyt,
Or
Hoyt,
your
Hoyt.
Sergeant
Or-
McNeil.
Or just Sergeant,
Neil.
or just Roy, and Sergeant, like, you know. what I
Here's
mean?
an awesome,
Cool.
awesome
Right.
question, and this question has been rocketing around my mind forever. Before we kind of wrap up a little bit more about Ray, when we started this campaign, I presented it to you guys. I said, "Listen, you guys are going to be in the violent crimes unit. There's going to be 3 detectives and 1 sergeant. Who wants to be the sergeant?" And you stepped up.
Fuck yeah.
Do you regret that? Do you think you didn't kind of pull that? Because I am, when I use this word, I want you to understand that I am very happy with this campaign as a whole. So when I express these regrets or maybe disappointments a little bit, it's very nitpicky. It's me being like picking out the fish bones with a tweezer. I wish there was more of that power dynamic where you're like, that's an order.
Yeah, I definitely. I don't even think. I think at first it was an Alex thing, being like, "Yeah, I'll be the sergeant," and not necessarily implementing like, fucking like Jerry, go fucking start the like van. We're leaving, because it did turn into a thing of, and then it kind of invested into Roy's character of like. And then it fucking, even by the very end, Roy fucking said, like, I love these guys. Like, these are my fucking...
How different is this story if any of the other ones are sergeants instead?
I think it would have been very
So
different
different.
because I feel like Roy was very lenient and very...
Cool boss.
Yeah, he was a chill boss, and he was like, what do you think about this? What do you think? We're gonna go fucking... I don't know.
I
We're
think
gonna
you
go
called the
kill these
shots,
people.
and you stepped up in general.
I do
all the
think,
time.
I fucking
But-
felt that I talked way more than you guys, and I didn't like
Yeah.
that because I felt like I was yapping, and like, which
Well,
I know.
I
we
think
just had
that
the
you kind of
conversation.
had to take the forefront with certain interactions with NPCs within your
Yeah.
department.
Yeah, I didn't feel like you were yapping, but I did feel like you had to step up and talk a lot.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I felt bad, but sometimes
Yeah.
I wish like it could have naturally been dispersed a little more.
Yeah, because
evenly as
they
equals.
like they have to look towards you.
I don't even mean in that, which I do agree that was real, but in most things, and again, maybe this is me being fucking too like in my own head, but like I felt like I was like waiting for someone to say something and being like, all right, fuck it, we're just gonna do this.
Well, I also think on the flip side, it's the three of them kind of looking towards you, like you are our sergeant.
Yeah.
So was that what it was? Like if
I think a lot of the time.
If this was K-Cell, if this was fucking K-Cell, for some reason I felt like K-Cell wasn't exactly like that.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't.
Dude, I don't know. You listen, especially the early episodes.
think
I'm
a
a
lot goes
fucking
into that.
yapper. I'm talking so much. I get mad at myself.
Well, I think
listening to
everyone
the first
kind of gets in their own head about that.
I'm bad.
fair.
I'm bad.
I don't
with
think
it.
No,
so.
I did not
I don't
notice
think
that
so.
in you at all.
Dude, I feel bad because
I-
you talk during the intros a lot, and there's just not a lot of you.
Yeah, I was just, you got me before. I was gonna say, I think I'm the other way around, where I feel bad in that way, where you're saying that you feel like you talk too much. Like I feel like I talk too little.
So then, let's just say it was you and me as the only players in the book.
But at the same time,
Jesus
sorry.
Christ!
But look at the spike.
Let's explode these bombs, motherfucker.
But
Headphone warning. Jerry was.
Jerry, fuck the listeners. I hate you people. Listen to these spikes. I have no respect for the listening audience, and I'll tell you exactly why.
You fucked me, buddy.
Why?
And it happened.
Fuck you.
It happened. And I was listening to it today, and I did the same thing at work. The fucking
Oh, the
chicken.
jump
I think
scare?
I brought it up before. The 20 minutes of lost audio that we had, where it's the chicken fight, and you can't hear it because why didn't you turn it up, dickhead? It's so quiet, and I'm like, oh, let me hear what he's talking about the chicken, and then you do the fucking
and then-
beer
yeah,
crack,
it
and it
goes
sounds
right
like a
back in.
shotgun in my
Yeah.
goddamn head.
Nah, I know.
It is so loud. Everybody in my office definitely heard that
Well,
through
you
my
shouldn't
AirPods.
have turned it up, you fucking idiot.
I'm a listener,
I'm
you
on
dick.
your side.
So, like I was saying, I don't respect our listening audience because, and I'll tell you exactly why.
Shout out
Our
listening.
third, and I want everyone listening to this who lives in this fucking city to hear me clear as crystal.
This city?
Our third highest listened to city, Dallas, Texas. Fuck the Cowboys.
Fuck
Fuck the Cowboys. Fuck the Cowboys. Fuck them. Fuck them
And
boys.
Fuck you guys too.
If you
but
live
go
in
the
Dallas,
go Mavericks though.
Go
Mavericks.
Mavs. Go
Go
Mavs.
Mavericks.
Go Mavs. Mark
Stars
Cuban.
are fine.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban.
I'm okay
we
with the
can
stars.
we can fuck with that.
But if you're listening in Dallas, Texas, and you're
Fucking
a
up the
fan
Rangers right now.
of the Dallas Cowboys,
Yeah.
go fuck yourself.
Absolutely.
Go
Them
Birds.
boys.
Dallas sucks. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Continue.
I didn't even think it was my point. I was just yelling.
Where was I? Oh yeah.
You were.
But Jerry was. but Jerry was made. He was like I could show
Made
you
in
in
the
my
lab.
notes where it's like he's a quiet guy who like talks too much when he gets too passionate about something, like, but for the most part, like, very quiet and reserved. For the most part, like, I mean, really kind of trying, but I do regret not talking more. I think I could have got a little bit more into that. But another thing to do with, like, the sergeant idea, like, I didn't jump on that because a 32-year-old as a sergeant would have been kind of weird.
And I don't think that Ray could have been a sergeant either because he's not even a fucking cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, I was like, if I was the sergeant and I'm like commanding people like 20 years older than me, like, that would be a real issue.
But that's a cool dynamic too.
It could have been.
L.A. Confidential.
Yes.
That movie kind of has it where it's like
true,
that
and
kind
everyone
of character.
hates him.
Yeah,
but, like,
right?
ends up being like, oh, you know, you're kind of the man. Like,
Yeah.
you're a good guy. But, yeah, that could have been cool, but that just wasn't like the route I wanted to go with Jerry. Again, he was only there for like 2 years at this point.
Oh yeah, it would
He
make
wasn't
sense.
there for that long. Like, it wouldn't make sense.
Truthfully though, like I really think what I was trying to say was that I think that there are so many moments of like waiting for orders in a sense.
Yeah, no,
to
I
the
hear
point
you.
where like I do think most of the time Roy was like, fuck it, burn the van. Sarge, do you really think?
Oh,
fuck it,
yeah,
burn the fucking van.
For sure, there are times where you take like complete control of the
Yeah.
situation.
I get it.
However, like,
But at the same time, I think in real life, people in a position like that do kind of go through that.
oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And you know, you've only been sergeant for, I mean, like 2 years.
Right. So yeah, that was a newer. It was a newer thing.
Less than that. It was like a year because it was
the fucking Christmas party.
Christmas of '69,
Yeah.
and this is January of '71. So like just over a year.
Right.
You're still kind of feeling in the role.
Right. So,
How old was Roy again?
mid 40s.
I also think that one of the
Late
things
40s.
that's
Not that
super
old.
interesting is like I feel like you are the, now that it's all over, looking back,
Not
you're the
old at
best
all.
candidate for sergeant.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you really were.
If Caleb is sergeant, I think you guys are a lot closer to Longo than you ended up being
Yeah.
because you're like, I don't want to take orders from this fucking maniac.
Right.
I think Jerry doesn't have the experience, and kind of maybe you guys kind of question him. I think
Hmm.
especially if you get your disorder,
Oh yeah. it
you
would've
are
been bad.
power
It would've
tripping
been
like
bad.
crazy.
Oh, so bad.
And
Yeah.
Ray, I
So-
feel like would kind of maybe apply
Jerry
them
would've
like
literally
Oh, we would have been
Just
making
off
some
the
different decisions if
100%.
I was the sergeant.
100%.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I think it's just so simple. I think you said that, and nobody said shit. Like, who wants to be the sergeant? I think the three of us were quiet, and then
yeah.
Alice kind of just stepped up and said,
He was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it."
I guess I'll do it.
Yeah.
Which is what has been happening this fucking whole campaign.
I think I have that on recording because I definitely recorded session 0.
Yeah, I think
I'd
that's
have to listen back.
and it wasn't.
So if that's the case, then who wants to be the lieutenant there between you two?
Oh, all him.
All right.
If you want,
Yeah.
if you think your character could fit it.
Damn.
I think that my guy could also equally just be like the old guy that's like kind of. You know, it's like.
I mean,
the older guy
here's
that's
the
like-
other thing too
I
is
have
that
another
I do
question.
need to brush up on like the hierarchy of police forces. So I'm not exactly sure if it is like lieutenant, but at least a rank above the normal detectives.
All right, I'll be old man.
LT?
Lieutenant. Yeah.
Yeah, unless you didn't want to do it.
Nah,
That was
I don't-
against
yeah.
your.
I didn't want to, like, force anyone out of it if they really wanted
You don't
it.
have to be an old man. It just means that
Oh yeah.
you outrank them.
Yeah, no, I get. I figured.
You're a vet.
You could have
Yeah,
moved.
vet, like, I know my shit.
Yeah, but you could have. You could have moved up quickly because you're like a.
It was like more of a thing. I don't even think we made characters yet. Actually, I think it was just like I want somebody who has experience role playing, which all of us fucking do. Probably have the same amount of
Oh
experience.
my god!
role-playing.
And now, especially after all of this,
Right.
wow.
Oh yeah. So
This
but-
warm up session we did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Easy
dude.
warm-up.
Yeah.
easy
very
warm up.
easy, Very easy.
It'll be a couple of weeks.
So
We're all fucking tearing up at the end.
I mean, do you guys feel connected to these characters? And I
Yeah.
do want to say,
now, I mean, at this point, yeah, for sure.
I want to put this in as careful terms as I possibly can, and I'm looking directly at you when I say this. Don't get rid of that character sheet. I'm not saying it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's probable,
don't
but
get
there
rid of
is
them.
a higher than 0% chance that Ray Hoyt could possibly come back to the table at some point. So don't get rid of it.
Listen,
So does Ray think it was worth it? Everything.
from what from obviously to the end of the campaign.
From birth to fucking having Laura.
from
Yeah.
from
Got what
birth.
you
Yes, bro.
I'll say from the moment that you killed my family.
Yeah.
That's when it started,
Was
right?
everything worth it?
You got
Yeah.
it, dude. I mean, you got
Definitely, because yeah, Ray had nothing.
You guys ready to transition into some nitty gritties?
it. Yeah.
Some little tasty nitty gritties?
Can I throw a question at you? It's fucking killing me, and it's not like a big one.
Sure.
Mark Cannon.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
One of the 39.
Really?
No,
Fuck 'em.
no repercussions
He was
happened to Mark
murdered?
Cannon. Nothing happened to Mark Cannon.
Oh, that wasn't my question.
This is a story as old as time
the
of
first kid? Who was
That was his
No, he was my
ex-partner
old
who was
part-
talking to
Radinals.
police officers trading information for money. It happens all the time. It happens now. It happened then. That's
He was
it.
the guy that got
No other
mad because
motivation.
we showed him.
No other motivation.
No. That
He
was
was-
that was Al Larson.
He was giving
He was the ex-partner.
he was giving information
To
to
McAllister.
to Mike McAllister for money.
He was the rat.
He was the rat.
He was the
Okay,
rat.
okay.
He
So
wasn't
that
he
was
wasn't
for-
working for
for-
Minneapolis. There was nothing suspect
But I
about
thought that was the same guy.
There were no Minneapolis connections in the Linwood Falls Police Department. The only way Minneapolis was able to keep tabs on you guys was because when you officially filed reports, they are made public to nearby police departments.
Can I roll luck for him to have a heart attack early?
No, you may not.
Yeah, so,
I'm thinking.
I still have a
When
program
I-
point. Can I use the program point to make him have a heart attack?
I'm thinking of the guy that was at Golden King.
That was Albert Larson.
That
Yeah.
We're going to start
Q&A time.
with some notes that I have. One of the things that I said at the end of last session when we were off mic is that I had some problems with the setting. I regret a lot of the decisions that I made in the setting, particularly my own head up my own ass. I set the campaign in 1971 on purpose because I didn't want to put it in the late 70s because then it would be like Vice, like fuzzy dice in the mirror. And I didn't want to do it in the early 60s because then it's like that 60s-esque kind of, you know, beat cop stuff. I put it in a weird time frame on purpose to avoid cliches. I regret that more than anything. Because cliches are fun. If you guys were 70s Vice cops and it wasn't the LFVCU, it was LFV, Linwood Falls Vice Unit, that's fucking awesome. You guys are like sliding across the hoods of cars and driving convertibles and all that stuff. I think that that's a lot more fun.
I completely disagree.
Really?
And I was thinking about this in the same vein that I was thinking about the Caleb, is he living up to the expectations? Because I thought about it, there was like 2 or 3 times where I realized while listening back, I'm like, are we 70s cops? Are we 70s cops?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't feel
but-
like the setting benefited anything.
Exactly. I think that's the fucking point.
Yeah, dude.
We were just 4 fucking cops, and we told a story. Who gives a fuck what year it was?
It felt like
it
the
didn't
real
need to
world,
be.
bro.
Absolutely.
The
I
only
know,
implication
so then
of
if
the
it
year
was-
was the technology. That
That's
was the
what I'm
only
saying.
legitimate
That's it.
implication.
The only effect that the setting had on the story was the technology that you had available to you.
Why did the setting need to care? Why did the setting need to matter at all? It's 5 people around the table playing a TTRPG where that's what matters, is the decisions that our characters make and the way we play them. I don't think that the setting
I
needed to
do
sit there
like-
and matter.
I do like to have a vibe like that.
I think it
would've been
makes it a
cool.
little bit easier to
Yeah,
roleplay.
that's all.
Yeah,
It's
I
easier. It's
think
not
it
that we
would've-
couldn't have or didn't have a good vibe at
Yeah.
all, because I thought we did.
It just
I
makes
thought
it
made
easier
it-
to fall in those cliches.
I don't know, man. I thought it worked pretty good. Like, we have this horrific crimes to investigate and whatnot, and it's like winter in fucking Minnesota, and it's
I also feel like
shitty
I
out.
also feel
Yeah,
like
and
I
it's just
didn't play up
bitter.
I didn't play up the weather enough.
But still, like,
It's like there
I
was
don't know,
one
we-
blizzard.
At least
It was
yeah, maybe
always
to the
snowy
listening
pretty
audience,
much, and there
but
was
to
always a
us,
way to
I felt
find
like
footsteps.
Yeah, bro.
Can't sit there and do that,
Yo,
man.
I
Did you
know.
guys
Maybe
feel
my own issues
that?
with
Did
the
you guys
snow
feel like you were in Minnesota
next
in the
to
middle of
a
the winter?
window.
Like I don't
every
think
time we had
I
to
don't
wear
think
clothes and shit, you were like, yeah, you gotta
man.
bundle the fuck up.
That
It's
was
cold
such a
out.
good scene, though.
I don't know. I don't think I played it up
maybe
enough.
like my own blood.
I don't think
I think
I'm
you need to
going.
get out of that
I'm
so much,
going
man.
to do this the entire fucking way down because I have had these thoughts in my head for a year and a half. So you're gonna listen to me complain about my own writing as much as I fucking want.
You
Let
portrayed
me
the fucking
vent.
weather
Insane.
so
Let me
Shut up,
vent.
pussy.
The way that you
At least
portrayed
hold
the
it in for
weather
tonight.
was fucking perfect. It
You guys-
was
it was like it was
always-
like it snowed once.
No,
Yo,
I feel like it was
no,
snowy
it
the entire
fucking
time.
didn't.
The entire
Every
time.
single time.
We were
every-
suffering
throughout
in the
entire-
cold.
The one thing that has been killing me
I have a question.
since
For me?
session
for
6 there is I can't believe I finally get to say it, one key piece of evidence that I left in by mistake, and it was fucking huge and a crux of this campaign, and I read it by mistake because originally I had a separate plan for this cabin, this ranch. Okay, originally it was going to be I want you guys to guess, if you can, the huge thing that I left in by mistake and kind of had to rework a lot of the campaign around. The grain.
What?
In the truck?
Yes.
It wasn't supposed to be like.
Nope.
Yeah.
Wow.
I left that in by mistake because originally the ranch was going to have a pig farm, and that's how they were disposing of the bodies, was they would feed it to the pigs and have the pigs eat it, and I got rid of that.
Wait. Are you talking about the real serial killer? If you're talking about serial killers? Are you talking about Robert Pickton?
I don't
That
know.
guy just got stabbed in prison this week. Anyway, it was a real serial killer in Canada.
And he fed
murdered
them
a bunch
to
of
pigs?
prostitutes. He fed a bunch of people. He fed all those prostitutes to pigs at his farm. And
I'm thinking about the movie Snatch by Guy Ritchie.
And then they slaughtered those pigs and fed them to a bunch of people in Canada.
But
anyway, continue.
so
Crazy.
my
He
point,
got stabbed this week. He might die.
my point is that
Fingers crossed.
is that this grain was originally supposed to tie it into a pig farm, and originally the ranch was set up where it was the ranch, and all the same shit was happening at the ranch, but instead of the stables, instead of the horses, it was a pig farm. And so the grain was going to tie in the pig farm, and I'm like, I don't really like the pig farm idea. I really want to like tie in horses and do the whole horse thing. And I'm going through, and I realized that as I'm reading it out loud to you guys, I left in the bit of the grain. And then I had to tie it back in. And it was easy to tie it in because honestly, the grain exists because Apsagos and Nikos is at its heart a fertility deity about good harvests and all that stuff. So it was really easy to just tie it right back in, but it was originally left in as a mistake. It was not supposed to be there.
We were so fixed. I was so
Dude,
fixated.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons
all harped
that's
on it
one of the
so hard.
reasons why I worked so hard to tie it in. And it ended up being pretty easy to tie it back in, but that was a mistake. I left that in by mistake. And that has been weighing on me for like a year and a half. And I did come up with a very, very extensive explanation of it. I want to talk about the whole reason for this campaign. So essentially, everything that happens between the start of the campaign and the end of the campaign is in order for you to get more information, in order for you to make new connections and get more allies for this eventual standoff at the end. Now, you can get exposed to this crime ring on 3 sides. It's either what you guys did, which is the cop side of dealing with Greg Atkins or Albert Larson or any other cops. And we're going to talk about this extensively. You can get in on the mob side by visiting Blue Coda, in which you can run into Lucas Iodonis, who has his own doubts about what's going on, and he would want to flip on RJ and Marsha. You guys never went to Blue Coda, never ran into him, never got that side. Or you could get in on the cult side, which is catching Marsha one of the 3 times that she makes a move. When she picks up Bobby's body, when she steals the coffin, or when she convinces Nancy to kill herself. Originally, RJ was going to be stealing the coffin, but I made it Marsha to give you guys another chance to catch her. You missed her 3 times. You missed her when she signed off on Bobby. When she
That one was the fucking fuck us, bro. Oh
when
my
she
God.
stole the
That
coffin,
was the only time that I felt smart.
and then when she
This whole
talked to Nancy.
You know what, the bird one I'm okay with. I felt a little bit smart.
It was like fuck us, but it was also like, how the fuck did she get that form? You know, like that.
She got the form from Minneapolis.
Oh,
She had InDesign in the 70s.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially this whole campaign is set up for you guys to kind of make these connections, get in with different people, and there's so many ways that you could have done it. And I know that you guys are looking back and you're like, oh my god, we could have did this, and this. You guys did enough. It's just, it's not more that you could have gotten, it's just a different way you could have went about it. You know what I mean? I don't think that you guys could have made any more connections, but they were there. I don't think that, I think that getting in on the cop side with Greg Atkins, and there's a situation where you guys have Albert Larson survive in Golden King, that gives you a lot more. That information that you guys got from Greg did a good bit for the case there. one of the bigger things that I want to talk about before I field any questions is Mike McAllister. I'm going to just read this verbatim. Mike was originally a reporter in Pittsburgh and was originally in Linwood on the trail of Ray Hoyt.
No way.
Evidence could be found in his car or motel room. The reason he took so long when he left and came back was because he thought Ray caught on and was going to kill him.
Yo!
On top of that,
Fucking no.
On top of that, if flipped, Mike McAllister could have easily accessed any information in regards to the county clerks. He has connections. You ask him to get something, information on donations from Dan Winters, he could have got it. Information's on properties owned by Dan Winters, he could have got it. All you had to do was ask.
We would have had to fight Doug at the cabin then, and we got Doug alone.
Correct.
God, we're geniuses.
Correct.
We're so
No,
fucking
I'm
good
not,
at this.
I'm not lying. When I'm going through this stuff and explaining this stuff, I'm not showing you how it could have been better. It would have been much different. It would have been easier in some parts and harder in other parts. It's always a give and take with this kind of stuff. But Mike McAllister, he knew.
How did he originally get onto Ray?
He originally got onto Ray because he was a beat reporter, found about these murders,
So in Chicago.
No, originally in Pittsburgh when the murders happened with your family.
Oh.
Knew that there was someone related on the scene, was kind of following it for a little bit and kind of gave up, picked it up again. It was his white whale.
Yeah.
Constantly chasing through this, and eventually, bits and bobbles here and there, eventually found a person that matched the description, kind of working in Linwood. Went down there and then got caught up in all this stuff with the case. But he was looking for you. And he didn't know it.
And I was the one that sought him out when we went talk.
Yep.
Like I was the liaison
He
for the
didn't.
group.
He didn't know it immediately. Like when you met him outside after he was talking to Chris's mom in the cafe, he didn't know that. He didn't know it immediately.
I chased him down. Yeah. Fuck.
It took him a little bit to kind of put the pieces together. But yeah,
That's wild.
Wow.
that was one of the big things that I wanted to talk
he
about.
really thought. Oh my god. I could see how that would make him paranoid, right? I'm the one. Oh, fuck, man.
Yeah. Yep. There's an answer for everything. Those were the two big things that I really wanted to talk about. Here's a fucking crazy one. Never came up. Glenn Longo was gay.
I knew it.
Never came up. Never came
Sorry
up.
for laughing.
No,
but just
please
why?
laugh. Please
Why
laugh.
would that even come up? Like, how would
Exactly.
we
I don't know.
There you go.
No.
Dumbledore.
He was.
You know what?
He was gay.
Humble gay.
He was
I
gay.
like that.
He was gay.
I like that.
I do like
He was
that.
gay.
Yeah, thank you.
No, you're fucking J.K. Rowling it now, though.
No, he had a boyfriend.
Who was it?
Not a life partner, just a boyfriend.
Good for him.
Aaron Lang.
Did we know the boyfriend?
He's
No.
a man of status and power. He's just getting around.
I mean,
Hell
there
yeah.
was a lot of things about Longo that you could kind of get exposed to. One really cool kind of partial arc that I had was originally there were going to be attempts on everyone's life. There's a moment where you're driving Becker back, and I kind of pause for a second and I kind of sit there for a second thinking, because I'm rolling on the chances and trying to decide whether I want to run that sub arc where a shooter comes up and tries to kill you. Tries to kill you and Ray and Caleb and Jerry all like around the same time. Shooters, Minneapolis, like related to the Colt.
Was this at the time they took the pictures of all of our houses?
Around that time, yes. So I decided not to run that, but in that there was going to be an attempt on Longo's life as well. I had this really cool scene written out where you guys get report that, you guys all survive your assassination attempts and come back to the station, and they're like, where's Longo? Where's Lieutenant? And you guys go to his house and he's got a gunshot in him, and you catch him in the bathroom like pulling a bullet out and like sipping on a bottle of Jack. But I didn't end up running that.
and his husband's there looking all hunky in a robe.
There was gonna be some mention of his partner, which I
Hell yeah.
never got
I like that.
I never got
Just
it.
keep it subtle. Longo would have a hunk.
Yeah, what
You
is
don't think he
Longo?
would have a twink?
He didn't bring his partner to Roy's
No, he
Sorority
was
party?
he was ashamed of it. Yeah, no. That I mean, it's the '70s, man. It wasn't.
your fucking truth, Longo.
It wasn't widely accepted in
True.
EV.
No, we would have accepted it.
Yeah, Roy wouldn't.
Our
have.
detectives would have accepted it.
Roy wouldn't have, bro.
Yeah, there were a lot of subplots that I kind of nixed. One of them was Winters being more involved. If you guys continue to log evidence and Winters catches on, he tries to make a play where he basically tries to bait Jerry into transferring to Minneapolis and becoming a sergeant. And I thought that you guys could kind of leverage that into kind of having a way to spy in, but I never ended up running that. I thought that wasn't good.
That might have been difficult with
That
like
could have
splitting
been
the group
wild
to
with
that
that.
extent.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of recognize that, especially without having like long range communication, except for telephone, and just having like these private sessions with Nick too much. I decided that wasn't really. I don't think that would be too great.
I like it, but if you were talking about bogging down, the LFVCU would have been 120 sessions.
100%, and I recognize that. In that vein of you guys having those assassination attempts on you, instead of having Marcia convince Nancy to kill herself, I was going to originally run this huge terrorist attack on St. Mary's Hospital with multiple gunmen, explosions. But the reason I didn't do that is because I thought that
You're a psycho?
there's no realistic way that the feds don't get involved right after that.
Yeah.
And like I said, these assassination attempts, I had them pretty planned out. I had a really cool description of the mask that they were wearing, like this solid chunk of wood. But we didn't end up running that.
I didn't know how to say it, so I just wrote chicken ?
I love the chicken. And I know it sounds very snobby, but the chicken was my greatest challenge as a writer. Because I wanted to A, allow you to have your thing, but B, juxtapose it with the absurdity of it. Where Roy is just begging for some connection that wasn't there, and then the chicken became more, where it's now this representation. The chicken represents this unknown, and you're struggling to understand it. You feed it the grain to see if something happens, and every single time you are mocked by it. There was no supernatural element tied to the chicken, but I like to imagine that there could have been. But I also like that denial of it, where at the end of the day, Roy is losing his mind over a normal chicken. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Alex interprets it the same way.
Because I thought about it, and immediately when this happened, my mind went racing, and I'm like, I can have it do this and do this and do that and do this and do that, and I'm like, no, dude,
It's just a chicken.
it's just a chicken.
What was happening to you was happening to Roy.
And you're projecting onto this chicken, you know?
Yeah. What happened to the chicken? Did it live a peaceful life? Did April take care of it? Like, what
It
happened?
exploded when
No,
the
you actually
basement exploded.
You killed
That was
it.
actually the chicken?
Oh yeah. Oh, big time.
I think I'm good. I ask you again, though. Yeah. Did you have fun, Joe?
I did. I'm really, really sad that this is over.
I had fun, dude.
I do want to say, from the bottom of my heart, for all the listeners out there who've listened up to this point, thank you.
Love you.
Thanks for paying attention to us. Thanks for giving us the time of day. This has been some of the most fun that I have had playing tabletop in a very, very long time. And I think that we all came together and made something really, really cool. So, thanks for listening. And this is an official goodbye to LFVCU.
Peace out. Go play tabletop games.
Hell yeah.
Go play tabletop games.